Hello my friends, all over the world, wherever you are. William Poloniak here again at Whole Health Foundation. And in this video, I'm going to make a special juice with produce from my garden, mostly dandelions and squash and a few other assorted vegetables. Let me show you my ingredients. Here are my ingredients for this juice: tomatoes, turmeric, ginger, half of a garlic clove, mostly zucchini and crooked neck squash, wild dandelions that I cultivate in my garden. We've always got plenty of wild dandelions, and carrots. So there are my ingredients for this juice, and let's make some juice. Right. First thing I'm going to do is plug in my thermometer. And this is going to monitor my temperatures because I'm already above 23 degrees, and I like to keep it below 23. I'm going to let the ice pass through, and I want to point out you let the ice go through very slowly because you want the coolness to transfer to the feed tube in the cutter and not shoot all the way through. So I'm going to recycle that ice because I want to get more coolness into the feed tube, and we're already down to 18 degrees, and the first thing I'm going to juice are my dandelion greens, and I'm using the number J grid, which is 3/16 inch holes. More dandelion greens. I notice my motor struggling a bit, so it's time to clean the grid, and the temperature's going up, so it's going to need more ice cubes. Remember, you scrape off the pulp. You don't cut. You don't want to hit your fingers with a sharp blade. So scrape off your pulp, put the grid holder back in, and we'll begin with 3 more ice cubes. Tomatoes, turmeric, ginger, garlic, I put in more tomatoes, but I want to peel off the stems. The stems are not really edible on tomato plants. There's the last of my zucchini. And a little squash shaped like a pumpkin. And then we'll do the rest of my dandelion. Here's the last of my dandelion, and then we'll switch to carrots. And I'm going to go into my garden and see if I can find the beets. I always like to put beets in my juice. Next we'll clean the grid, and we'll switch to the number 2 grid, which is better for carrots. It does a better job on carrots. So we'll clean this 3/16 inch hole grid, put that aside, and put in the 1/8 inch hole, or what's called the number 2 grid. And next we'll do the carrots. And since they're so small, you can reverse them, maybe even put in 3 carrots. Small beets in my garden, so I'm going to put those in the mix. I love beets in my juice. going to mix all my ingredients together, get a nice thorough mix. Spin my bowl in both directions. That seems to do the best job for mixing this pulp. Alright, I'm going to fold up 2 cloths at a time because that gives you better pressure. And I want to point out that when you have carrots in your mix, you do not need to use a bamboo liner, because when there's carrots in your mix, your pulp will not stick to the cloth. So 2 huge or 2 medium spoons of pulp. Flatten that, that's very important. Flatten that, fold it. This first set of cloths are going to go in the juice tray, centered left to right and front to back. Very important to center it properly all the way back. Back it off, and while that's pressing, we're going to make more cloths full of pulp. Flatten it. 2 heaping spoons of pulp, about a cup's worth. And then, when we're down to our last cloth, we'll advance this all the way. And I want to point out that on a Whole Health Foundation Premium Juicer, because of this solid bottom plate, you can leave the press up for a minute or longer if need be. And that will extract over 10% more juice. And your most valuable nutrients are in that last 10% of your juice. Okay, the spent cloths go here, 2 new cloths go in, and because there's so much juice in here, I'm going to very carefully pour that into my tray, or my container, I mean. All the way back, back it off. Now, my 6 cloth less work method, you do not throw away this pulp. What you do is you put new pulp on top of the old pulp and refold. In the beginning, you'll put 2 spoons on, and then later you'll put 1 spoon as the patty gets thicker. Now, toward the end of the process, I'm down to the last of my pulp, and this patty is getting thicker and thicker. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put only 1 heaping spoonful of pulp on top, because I don't want that patty to be too thick and not be able to fit. So my jar is getting very, very full. So I'm not going to press the whole thing. What I'm going to do is stop that. We'll set this back so it doesn't drip. But don't set it back just a little bit. Set it back a lot so it's very, very obvious. And then we're going to fill more bottles. Because my juices are very, very concentrated, and I don't want to get too much concentrated juice in there. So I top mine off with about 8 to 10% of distilled water. Okay, we'll continue pressing that half-pressed cloth and continue filling the cloths with more pulp. And I think we can get the rest of this pulp in here safely. So what I'm going to do also is get a spatula, because I don't want to waste any of this precious pulp. Advance that a little bit more. Oh, that's 1 thick patty. I don't know if that's going to fit with 2 cloths, but we'll see. So while that's pressing, what I'm going to do is form this spent pulp into a tight ball. Notice. And then as tight a package as I can make it. I'm going to fold this under to minimize slippage like so, and set that aside. Now this has been up at least a half a minute. We'll leave it up. Form it into a tight ball. And Notice the ball there? I'm going to fold it under, like so that we have a minimizing effect on the cloths. Let's back that off and turn the machine up. It's already been up over a minute. That'll give me a chance to explain what I'm doing without the noise of the juicer. So we're forming that into a tight ball, and we'll get as tight a package as we can here. So I've got all 6 spent cloths processed into a tight ball. I'll set this aside, and with this measuring beaker I'm going to measure how much extra juice we can get from the spent pulp using a Whole Health Foundation premium juicer with the premium bottom plate. This bottom plate has a lifetime warranty, by the way. So all the way back, and as soon as we get a juice flow, I'm going to back it off because I don't want that to go up too fast. We'll back it off a little bit. And advance it slowly, a little bit more, a little bit more. One cloth, we've got 3 ounces. So I'm not going to wait for every last thimbleful. I'm going to put in another set of cloths. Let's see if we can get another 3 ounces out of this. Let's try all the way back it off a tiny bit. There, we've almost filled up that container. We better stop. What I'm going to do is pour this in there. So we've got 9 ounces there. Okay. A little bit more. Let's see how much juice we can get. All the way. Remember, we want to go slowly. We don't want any slippage. That's a little bit more. There's another 9 ounces, so 18 more ounces so far. Advance it all the way. Okay, I'm not going to go any farther with this. I'm going to have to get a bigger measuring beaker. Okay, in this session I got 14 bottles of juice and enough for a taste test. Well, there you have it, my friends, 14 bottles of juice in an hour and a half, and enough for a taste test. Delicious. A little on the bitter side because of the dandelion greens, but very palatable. Mostly zucchini, squash, tomatoes, turmeric, ginger, garlic, and of course the dandelion greens and carrots. Here's to your health. And if you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. I'll see you in the next video.